The story took place on July 21, 2010 in Taiwan in a commercial and residential building known as Zushi Tiansha. The fifth floor of this building was a nursing house for mildly mentally ill patients, while the remaining floors were apartments and offices. 7 days ago, an elderly woman named Lee, who was being treated in the hospital on the fifth floor, went missing, and her family searched for days but couldn't find her. That afternoon, an elderly man was returning to his apartment on the 7th floor of the Zushi Tiansha building. Because he had only one daughter and was married, the elderly man lived alone on the 7th floor. When the elevator doors opened, the old man entered to go upstairs as usual, but he discovered that it was occupied by an elderly woman, but she didn't exit. The old man didn't think much of it, despite the fact that it was strange. She became even more bizarre after entering because she did not press to select any floor. It could have been a confused woman or a mental patient on the 5th floor. The old man mused to himself as he pressed a button to the 7th floor where he wanted to go. The elderly man casually inquired of the woman, "What floor do you want to go to?" The woman replied in hushed tones that she wanted to go to the 6th floor. The old man easily assisted her in pressing the 6th floor. He assumed she was confused and had forgotten to press. As the elevator rose, the old woman said nothing and did not respond either, despite the fact that the old man asked a few questions. "The 6th floor has been vacant for many years and has been sold for many years. Are you the one who bought it?" Because the old man suspected she was a psycho, he paid no attention to her anymore. After a while, the elevator took the two of them to the 6th floor as the old woman had requested. However, the woman did not approach the elevator door, indicating that she did not intend to exit the elevator. The man returned to remind her not to miss the elevator again. "Aren't you going to the 6th floor? There, you have it." But this time the old man was taken aback. Something was wrong here. Behind him turned out to be empty and the woman vanished without a trace. There was only the old man in the elevator. Did she just vanish like this? This time terrified the old man. He had no idea what he was in for. Could it be that what he saw just now was a ghost? Just as the old man was becoming perplexed, the elevator door behind him slowly opened, indicating that something was abnormal. The old man looked back instinctively. He was also on the lookout for any unexpected situations that might arise. And the old man saw a dark figure rushing towards him. He had no idea what was going on. But as soon as he saw the figure clearly, he was terrified. He couldn't believe what he was seeing in front of him. It was an old woman with a hideous face, her skin rotting and revealing a grey color, and her body emitting a strong stench. The old lady with white eyes gaped at him with a cynical look. Her body was poured directly onto him, which terrified him. The old man collapsed to the ground in terror, and the woman also overpowered him. He was completely taken aback by what was happening. Wasn't this the old lady who just asked him to select the elevator button on the 6th floor? At the time, his reaction was perplexing. The old man had almost exhausted his remaining strength. From the other corner, the old woman's body was lying there, and he was leaning against the elevator's corner. He was terrified. But seeing the old woman's body lying on the ground, his legs were terrified and he couldn't stand up. However, he discovered another more terrible truth at this time. Because the old woman's body blocked the elevator door, preventing the elevator from running. With trembling hands, he quickly took out his cell phone and dialed his daughter's number, pleading for assistance. However, the signal in the elevator was very poor. He didn't remember how many times he called, but it appeared that he was unable to obtain the signal. His daughter worked as an office worker for a foreign invested company at the time. She knew her father was in distress after receiving the call, so she immediately dialed 911. 20 minutes later, the police arrived at the Tianxia building where the old man was trapped and were attempting to help him. However, when the police and rescue teams arrived, they saw the situation at the scene and it was helpless because so many things were intertwined. The cops used the old man's daughter's cell phone to contact him and wanted to save him as soon as possible, and there was only one way to do so. That was drag the decomposing old woman into the elevator and restart the elevator. The old man shivered when he realized he'd have to pull that horrible corpse by himself, but there was no other option. He thought the ghost of the old woman was beside him, so he just had to move this horrible rotting corpse? He had no idea what to do. However, he was unable to move or leave. He didn't want to spend another second with this body because it was getting dark. When the night came, if he was still present to keep this corpse and remain this closed elevator, a ghost might appear at any time. With this in mind, the elderly man closed his eyes and dragged the body into the elevator. The elevator finally started running after dragging the body into the elevator room, but as soon as the door closed, this terrible old man and woman were trapped in the cramped elevator. Still haunted by the sticky sensation of the old woman's rotting corpse, he looked around and found it deafeningly quiet. The entire world seemed to have vanished, leaving only the old man to guard the terrifying corpse. The elevator went down for a few minutes, and the old man felt like he'd been there for a century. Finally, the elevator descended to the first floor where the old woman's body was being handled by the rescue team below, and the old man collapsed before stepping out of the elevator with the assistance of his daughter. An investigation revealed that the old woman's body was identical to Mr. Lee's, who went missing 7 days ago. The police obtained surveillance footage of the entire building and revealed information about the incident. On July 14, Miss Lee, an elderly woman receiving care at a nursing home on the 5th floor, ghostly pressed a button to enter the elevator on the 6th floor. Miss Lee stepped out of the elevator after it reached the 6th floor in case no one noticed. The 6th floor was formerly a dojo, abandoned for unknown reasons for many years, recently sold to a new owner, who didn't know why, never used the place, so it remained empty. However, because the owner was concerned about other people entering, he welded a small iron cage to the elevator position. Miss Lee discovered that the elevator door at the back was closed after exiting the elevator. Because of the gap in this cage, she couldn't squat or lie down. She could only stand like this, and no one noticed she was trapped there. Following the autopsy, she died of dehydration. Perhaps the old man's discovery of her body was proof that the spirit can guide the way.